Good morning and happy new year to all of you. It is Thursday, January the 2nd. I am always in awe by people who have the Thursday and Friday off, or typically it's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is usually how it falls. But I'm always in awe by people who are like, yeah, we are not going back to school until Monday. What? Is that a thing? Anyways, I was really sick over the holidays. So if you haven't been following me on Instagram, I shared on there a little bit that I was like super duper sick. I had a nasty cold. I was in Las Vegas visiting family and I didn't get anything done that I really wanted to get done, which was a big bummer for me. So I really could have used today and tomorrow to be able to get some of those like to-dos checked off of my list. C'est la vie, it's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna push through it. So this is going to be, today and tomorrow is gonna be the refresher. This is going to be, hey guys, let's remind ourselves on what it's like to stand in a line. Let's remind ourselves like what are the expectations during your different areas. So I'm gonna be hitting routines really hard. I think every teacher needs to hit routines hard again in January. It's like you're starting the beginning of the school year all over again. However, some of your kids, majority, let's hope and pray, are able to recognize, oh, here's what this is supposed to be like. So that is what we're going to be doing for today and tomorrow. We also have One School, One Book that is going to go down, which I'm very excited about. And we're going to talk a little bit about goals and habits as a class. I don't do New Year's resolutions with my kids because, let's be honest, they don't remember what they did last week. So we're going to talk about setting small goals and what that means. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty easy 2 days and I'm bringing you guys along with me. Here we go. So I have to share with you guys because I feel like I have not vlogged in a very long time, that I redid my entire classroom library before we ended break, like before we went on break. Can't think this morning. So I went through every single one of my books. My students helped me and we like purged. We purged. Guys, I had like 4 or 5 copies of so many different books. There were books in there that were just really well loved and they needed to go to new homes. We have like a whole system that we do for books to families who are not able to get books. So I put a lot of really brand new books, let's just put that on there, like brand new books to these families, so that they can have access to them, because I just didn't need to have as many as I had. Let's just be honest. So I wanted to show you guys around my little library, which I'm very excited. I'm very proud of it. Here's one of my bookshelves. This one got pushed back. Always drives me nuts. But you're gonna notice I took the Leap guys and I put my mentor texts available for my students to be able to grab. So all of my picture books, I've removed them from that closet, which is where they used to be, and I've given my students access to those books because picture books are real books too, guys. I think that should be a thing. Picture books are real books too for upper elementary. And a lot of the time teachers are like, oh no, shun, I can't let my upper elementary kiddos, 4th, 5th graders read a picture book. Sometimes they're a little bit more higher level than some of the books that your students are reading. So I've given them access to them. Here's something else. So not only have I done that, I'm going to move to another section. So I have that one, and then I have this one here. Oh my goodness, look at all those informational picture books. Love it. I've also now been able to see what are the series that I need to finish them off. So we tried to put all of the series together so that I can finish buying those. So you're going to see I have this little shelf here. And then to top it off, I have this one up here, which looks like this. So I have a system that I use in my classroom And I have these available in my store, so I'm going to leave the link down in the description box. But these are just paper, and I have my name on it. It has a spot for me to put the level. I don't truly worry about the level with my students, but I worry about the genre with them. So it's labeled by genre, which is where you see the red, the greens, the yellows, the blues. All of them represent a different genre. This one is young adult. So any young adults are like a lime green or a gray. And then I have these cool lights that I installed a while back that add a little something something to the library. I'm gonna go ahead and turn them all on so you can guys get to see the pretty view. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? So the next thing is that what I did with those labels that I was just showing you, so I have a ton of them printed out. I went on ahead and just printed a bunch of them just so that I can have them and I didn't need to stress out. But you're gonna see something just fell. I have a bunch of them printed out, and then I cut them out. And because it's just paper, like it's not a label, what I ended up finding, guys, is that if I used a label, they would ruin the books. Like if I try to take it off, it would ruin it. So instead, what I do is I use paper. Duh, let me show it to you. So instead what I do is I have my little paper labels. You're gonna see this is tape, but it's packing tape, and it's cheap packing tape that I get from the dollar store, and it comes off really easy and it does not destroy the book at all. And you don't have a bunch of these like weird looking whatever. That's probably one of the things that drives me the nuts the most when it comes to books, is that you see everybody's different system is on them when you get rid of them and you take them to like a used bookstore. That's all I ever see. So here's what I have. I have one of these little organizers. I think I got this one from Michael's, I think. And so what we did is we just cut, me and the kids, we just cut a bunch of these out, and then we placed them inside of this little organizer so that whenever I get a new book, we take out the organizer, we take out the tape that goes with it, and I'm able to very quickly just grab one and label my books so it is ready to go and I don't have them floating around without my name on them. Very simple, easy setup, and I love it. Okay, so before I get ready to start my day, because I haven't really done anything, everything is still in my backpack, I'm gonna go say hi to my teacher partner because I did see that she was here and I know she was doing some new things to her classroom. So I'm gonna go see what she's been up to. So it was a successful start to 2020 today. The kids had a blast going to the One School One Book like kickoff, which is basically a big huge like assembly meeting. They brought somebody in who knows a lot about bats. She was a retired kindergarten teacher and now she does like all this work with just bats and studies of it, and it was great. I mean, she was funny. She had really good bits of information that I think some of us want to block out from our heads when it comes to bats. Like there was one where she talked about like bats have to actually go upside down, and they hang, well, they hang upside down originally, but they had to hang by their thumbs so that they don't pee on themselves. They also had another one where vampire bats that do not get their blood for the night, which they don't suck blood. They drink blood, they don't suck blood. Anywho, they regurgitate blood so that they can share it with another vampire bat. Really, really good bits of information. So that all led up to what was the book that we are going to be reading for our One School One Book this year. A Boy Called Bat. And this has nothing to do with bats, except the boy is called Bat, which I'm pretty sure that in the book, and I haven't finished it, has to do with his initials are bats, but he has a very he really likes to learn about animals in this book. So very, very excited. I'm going to show you guys the calendar that they sent home. So here's a little calendar that they sent home for the kids. They break it up so that they can see what chapters they need to be reading every single night. Weekends they have off, but they're reading these with their families. So the whole encouragement of this entire book is that they get this for free. They get to keep the book. So everyone in the school, assistants, bus drivers, everyone gets this book. We all read it together every night. We can have morning meeting discussions. We can have activities, which I do plan on doing with this book for my class. And then we have the calendar that goes with it. They have a little family letter that I'm not going to show you a ton of because it has a lot of information on there that just kind of talks about the importance of reading with your kids every single night. But yeah, it's just a really great community-based read, and the kids love it, the families love it. I'm really, really excited about it. So the plan is that I'm going to read this with Blaine and Ian. We're going to do our readings every night. Since I read books with them, it's either myself or my husband or both of us read together, read with the boys every night. This is going to be the read for the month. We also, in our Schoology course, because I know some of you are like, but not every kid has like a parent to read with, and what if it's too hard for them to read? What we did is in our Schoology course, which is our learner management system, every single teacher in the building, maybe not every teacher, but you got to sign up to do a recording. So you record a chapter, you upload that chapter, and it's available for kids. So the kids can also download it here if they don't have internet access at home to be able to listen to it the next day or in the evening whenever they go home. I am also planning on playing the recordings when they come in the morning so that they can listen to it then. But yeah, very excited. So I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna share that with the boys. I'm gonna make some dinner and I'm coming back tomorrow. And tomorrow's Friday. I did it, guys. I made it. It's great. Okay, I will catch up with you guys in the morning. Well, good morning. I really enjoyed last night being able to sit down. We sat down like on our bed as an entire family, and I read the first 2 chapters of our One School, One Book. And it's really, really sweet. Obviously, they're just kind of setting up the scene, introducing the characters. So we've been introduced to the son, the sister. The son is Bat, and they gave us kind of his long name. We've been introduced to the sister and to the mom, who was a veterinarian, and where his passion and his love for animals comes from. So it's very, very sweet. I think Blaine enjoyed it because there was one part, guys, I was reading, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, what happened here? Like he was moving around, he was shaking, you know how Blaine is. And he went and peed at one point, so I got super distracted because I can't have a ton of things happening when I'm reading. I'm just that person. And he was like, oh, this happened or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so you are paying attention to me. But he seemed to enjoy the book, which is very nice. And yeah, so this morning I have everything ready. I need to go through my emails and check those. So I don't have a ton that I'm doing as of right now. It's Friday. A 2-day week wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be because I felt like it was just going to drag, but it did not. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I am still going to have game day Friday. So this is something that I do every single Friday. I've done this since kindergarten, where we had almost like our centers, but they were more about the social play aspect of it. This is more about just getting kids off of their iPads, interacting with one another, playing board games, because I think it's incredibly important. So I have puzzles, I have board games, and let's go and check out my closet. So this closet is a student closet that I have in my room, and I keep all of my games up here. It is a little bit more cleaned out than what it has been in the past, which I'm feeling pretty good about. So we have Guess Who. The kids don't put these back correctly. Oh, one of the little, there we go. We have Guess Who. Operation Sorry is really, the kids really enjoy playing that one. We have Life that the kids enjoy. Kids don't really enjoy this one, to be honest, and I might end up getting rid of this one after this year. Candyland, some kids like it, some kids don't. And then I got this one from Five Below, which is 100 classic games, which the kids do enjoy. We have blocks of Jenga. I have, oh my goodness, the thing is huge, but I have Bananagrams, which are like giant like giant letters. Kids really, really love the giant bananagrams. They like the Connect 4, which I have in there, and then I have some checkered and chess pieces that they can play from here. And then I have other little bitty games like card games and things to that extent. So I would really like to add more to this as I continue going on, hopefully clean it up a little bit more, because they are pretty old in there. But the kids really appreciate this and they really look forward to it. Every Friday, they're like, is it time for Game Day Friday yet? They really, really enjoy it. So this is my morning meeting. I don't really do anything else. I have them give each other's high fives like at their tables, or shake their hands, and then I dismiss them to be able to have Game Day Friday. It's a really, really easy way to get them interacting and talking with one another, which is super important. Yesterday, I'm going to continue the conversation of expectations, procedures, and routines. And it was funny because, well, it's not funny. I was talking with Michelle with Pocketful of Primary. She called me last night. I wanted to know how her whole challenge thing is going on, because if you don't know and you don't follow her, she has a challenge, like a monthly challenge, and her challenge this month is to leave at 4:15 every single day. I'm super proud of her because I know that that's hard for her. She is such a worker. So I was talking to her yesterday or last night, and she mentioned to me about how she doesn't have the opportunity to really refocus on the routines and expectations and the procedures because they have to hit the ground running as soon as they come back, which I am always in awe about. Like, I'm like, are you kidding? Is awe the right word? Probably not. But I'm always surprised, because how do you not go over routines and procedures? Like, I feel like sometimes districts are so super duper focused on the numbers game of it that they forget that kids need this. Teachers need this in order for the learning to happen. So we worked on routines, procedures, and expectations yesterday, and I wanted to show you guys the little anchor charts that I create with my students, or my students actually build it and I write it, and this is what I reference to over and over and over again, over and over again. Song got in my head now. All right, so let me show you what these look like. Okay, so I left them on this little table that I have on the floor. I don't necessarily love giant anchor charts. I don't have the space, so I have my math board up here. I have doors that I can put them on. That is gonna be exciting. And I have windows, I have some doors, I have brick. I don't have a ton of space in my room to be able to say that I can put up anchor charts all over. I felt like that was something that I absolutely had a ton of space of when I taught in kindergarten. This room is just not optimal for it. So I had to rethink how in the world can I create anchor charts that I can leave up and feel good about leaving up without it taking up a ton of space in my room and just making it feel super duper cluttered, if that makes sense. So I decided that instead I would create them and print them on legal sized paper. I haven't had any issues with this. It's worked out really, really well for me, although I did have to change my markers because on one of them, I'll show you. On this one here, I was using this type of a marker and quickly realized that I had not enough area to write. So then I transitioned it to just your regular old Crayola markers, which this works way, way better. So for each of the areas in my class, I did morning work. I need to do one for the afternoon because we didn't have time for that yesterday. We ran over in our read aloud. So I had one for morning work, I had one for the math block, I had one for literacy studio, and we did not do one for content. So I will need to do that one as well. And so for each class time, we got together at the very beginning and we talked about some of the expectations. And so when we talk about expectations, we talk about what it looks, what it sounds, but we added what it is it feel like? So what does it look, sound, and feel like? And so we talked about what would we see when we walked into this room during this block, what would we hear when we walked into this room, and then how would we feel? And then down at the bottom, we listed the expectations, like what are some of the items that we can do during this time. I have to be honest, guys, like I was so frustrated yesterday because first thing in the morning, I'm walking around, I'm taking my attendance, I'm kind of just chatting with kids, just what I do in the mornings. I walk around my iPad and I just chat and I look at what the kids are doing and what they're reading, ask them questions, whatever. I see kids that are on Cool Math. I about lost my mind. I didn't. I remained calm. But in my head, inside, I was losing my mind. Because they know, absolutely know, that that is not what they should be doing in the mornings. So to make sure that I'm very, very clear and they understand what they can do during that time, we have the conversation of what should we be doing? What are we expected to be doing during this time? Because I don't give morning work. I don't have time for morning work. I don't want to grade morning work. I don't necessarily think morning work is the best. I have from 8:40 until 9:10, and so kids come in sporadically during that time, and I just feel like they can be working on something that they would rather work on. So here's what we came up with. Rather, what they came up with, guys. So any extra work that needs to be completed, the joy of reading, and I sang it just like that, word study, IXL or Reflex, free write, and then we added an extra one about studying for a test. So if we have a test and we want to study with someone, we can study for a test. So that is what we can be doing. So every time I see that a student is off task and they're not doing one of these, I'm going to reference them to this, and then I'm also going to reference them to our rules, which are up here in those little frames. So that was our morning time, and then we had math block. And one of the things that I really loved about the math block is that we talked about how it should be supportive and encouraging, because we're all in different spots. We're all in different levels of our learning, and we should never make anyone feel as though they are lesser. So we are supportive and encouraging with our learning and where we are. So I really, really enjoyed that. And then I'll talk about the levels in just a second. Again, they talked about how they're doing Reflex or IXL, their math books, math game, and we were very specific from the skills because those are in these little bins that are on this other side of that shelf. And then we have quick checks, unit tests, studying, and then conferring. So all of those pieces are what they are expected to do during this math block time. And then for Literacy Studio, it was the same thing. They had a couple of kiddos that were in my math block that are in my Literacy Studio, so they said the word encouraging again, which made me happy. And then we talked about the joy of reading. Again, I sang it just like that. We have group work, independent, free write, word study, IXL if they want extra practice, and then any sort of book talks that they're working on that they could be completing during that time. I mentioned that we have levels. This is something that I found from, what is her name? Jill Schaefer with, oh my goodness, now I have to look it up because for some odd reason I can't remember what her name is. Guys, why are you so old? Hello Fifth, holy mackerel, I am old. She had mentioned this at the very beginning of the school year, and she talked about how she did it. And so I created one and I just started doing it with my kids because I thought it was fan-flippin-tastic. So I have 4 different levels of voice. And so the kids come up with, what do these levels sound like? What do they kind of seem like? What would they reference these as? And so we've already done one of these, but we're redoing it just so that I can refresh their memories. Number 1 is like a library. It's absolutely no talking. It's super duper quiet. 2 is like more of the whispers here and there. 3 is more of the collaborative, and 4 is like a zoo. We never, ever, ever want to be a 4. So we want to be in the 1, 2, or 3 range, which is why the kids are really good about saying, oh, it's a level 2. I had a level 1 here for morning time. So we talk about those different levels. We're going to redo this either today or next week at some point. Those are our anchor charts that we're using. I've referenced them over and over and over again. I think that's one of the biggest pieces, is that if you are setting an anchor chart and you're talking about those expectations and the routines and the procedures, you need to reference that anchor chart over and over and over again. So I become a broken record all over again in January, because I'm constantly saying, I want you to look over there and I want you to tell me, what does it say for our morning work, or what does it say for our math time, and show me the expectation. And this is something that whenever we sit down as a class during the beginning of every single block, because we sit around our stars for the beginning of every block, we go over what should we be doing. And I reference this for the first couple of weeks. I know you're probably like, oh my gosh, that seems like a lot, but it goes by so quick, guys, and the kids get really, really good at it. And the more that I say it and the more that I reference it, the more the kids know that I mean business. So, okay, I felt like I talked a ton, 13 minutes in fact. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get ready for the beginning of the day. I'm gonna listen to a podcast and just kind of get in the zone, get ready for Friday, and then I will catch up with you guys a little bit later on. It is the end of the day, and I have to say, guys, it's been rainy outside all day today, super cloudy, very dreary, and I am so unbelievably tired. I only worked 2 days this week and I'm so tired. But I wanted to share with you guys before I head home what we were working on in content. Now, that was really bad lighting right there. Now, I have to say we have to take it into next week for maybe about another day or 2, but I'm not going to stress too much about it. We just didn't get to everything that we needed to get to. But we were talking about New Year's, and I really love to talk about goals and habits. Not necessarily New Year's resolutions, which I know like that's the common thing, is to always talk about New Year's resolutions, but I wanted to approach it more in this idea of how do we create smaller goals and habits for ourselves. Now, I have to say, and I have to put this little plug in here, that if you guys do not already know, Michelle from Pocketful of Primary and myself have launched a podcast, and the podcast is called Teaching to the Top. TOP stands for time, organization, and productivity, and it's all about really helping you be a better you personally as a teacher, and being able to get everything done without the stress, the overwhelm, and being able to do some of the things that you just love in general. So we've launched it. It's on iTunes. We are in the process of getting ourselves approved for Spotify and for Google Play, and so those will be coming eventually, but we are available on Podbean and we are available on iTunes. So I'll leave some links down below so that you guys can go and check them out. And so we talked in that first episode about habits and goals, because it's just, to me, it's a more realistic way of being able to better yourself as an individual. I'm not going to get all into it about you because you guys can go and listen to that podcast, but let's talk about how I talk on habits and goals with our students, not so much for ourselves. So the first thing that we ended up doing is watching a Discovery Education video. Now, if you guys do not have Discovery Ed, it's a Discovery Education streaming site. It's fantastic. I think a lot of districts pay for this for their schools, so you might want to look into see if your district has it. So this is the video that we ended up watching. It's Holiday Kids, all about New Year's, and it just went over some highlights about New Year's Day from the ancient Babylonians to the United States, and discusses the differences between them, and then some of the calendars, of course, as well. So they go through traditions, some things like the specific foods that you eat, to the ball dropping in New York, and then also setting New Year's resolutions. It was only a 17-minute video. It was very short, and the kids really enjoy it. They always have those like little check-ins. I'll show it to you guys real fast. So they will do like this spot where you will answer questions like this. So the kids really enjoy these, and they're all like challenging themselves to make sure that they know the right answer, so it's always funny. once we did that, we watched that video, we had a discussion about the video itself, and then we started talking about New Year's resolutions and what does the word resolution mean. So we came up with an anchor chart, and this is what it looks like. So it's all the way high up there, sorry guys. Okay, so this is what it looks like. We have the New Year's resolutions. It is, what is a resolution? A firm decision to do something, which is basically a plan. So we did an example as in eating healthy, losing weight. Then we said, what is a goal? And that is a result based on an ambition that you want to achieve. So we discussed some different goals that we have. And then finally we talked about a habit, and that starts as a choice but becomes a subconscious decision. Guys, my students said that word. I was so impressed with them. So once we did that, I had 5 anchor charts placed around the room. Sorry, I have to cover my vent so it's not loud in the video, and now it's blowing on the anchor charts. But I had 5 different resolutions placed around the classroom, and the kids had to walk around and come up with either a goal or a habit that you can build in order to reach that resolution of being healthier, or to save money, or to read more, or to learn a new skill, or to exercise. Basically the idea, and this is what I told them, is that resolutions tend to be really big and really broad, and oftentimes people feel so overwhelmed by it that they end up quitting. And so in order to help them be able to reach that big resolution, they don't need to think of it as the resolution itself, but they need to come up with smaller goals and habits to build in order to reach that. So that's kind of what we were focusing on the majority of the time. So we did that, and finally, getting out of breath, guys. Finally, to end it off, we are working on a think sheet that's going to lead us to doing our craft to put outside in the hallway. So it's basically like a little flip chart that they're going to fill out that's on their 2020 like goals and some habits and their resolution and reflecting on the previous year. And then they're also going to have like a little crafty part that's going to go with it. Let me show you guys what the think sheet looks like. The kids basically went down, they talked about what are some of the qualities that they had in 2019, reflecting on what they are most proud of, the best memory from 2019. I didn't want to put them in the box of telling me specifically like the song and color and snack. So I told them like reflect and think of 6 of your favorites from last year. So I gave them some ideas that they could list, but I wanted them to come up with 6 favorites. Then I wanted them to think about what a resolution they might have, some goals that they would have in order to, or I'm sorry, habits that they would have in order to reach that resolution, and the same thing with goals in order to reach that resolution. Then we also have them think about goals that they would have in some of these subjects. So reading goal, a math goal, a content goal, and a soft skill goal, which we have to finish brainstorming together next week in order to complete this part. And then this here, it says, why are these goals, resolutions, habits important to you, and be specific with some examples. So once they finish the think sheet, this is going to help prepare them to completing the craftivity that they're going to have either Monday or Tuesday. So that's basically it. That's what we have going on. I feel really out of breath. So that is all that we have going on inside of our content time. The kids had some really good conversation about goals and habits and resolutions, and so it just kind of leads us into having a fresh start and really thinking about our actions and how can we make ourselves better in the long end, because that's the whole goal in life, is to always kind of push yourself to being better and better and better. So that is it, guys. It's Friday. Blaine has a wrestling match tomorrow, which from what I'm understanding, we're gonna be there from 8 to 2 o'clock. Wish me luck. This is the first of these that I'm going to experience. Trent tells me that they're pretty intense. So yes, so I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get it cozied up, maybe in front of the fire, depending on how cold it is outside. And I am going to hopefully get some grad school work done. It's what I need to work on. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you are not already, and hit that notification bell for every time I go live or I upload a new video to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to go ahead and head over to iTunes or Podbean to check out Teaching to the Top, which is the new podcast that Michelle and I have launched. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this little 2-day vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.